I think when we started, we really, we built like a beautiful foundation, and then later after the marriage with Cola, with the others, I think a very new energy came in.
Start of my professional career somehow, and I moved away from Zurich 8 years ago, but I still feel so much connected to the guys. It was like kind of starting something which lasts forever. 10 years now, but somehow it feels like it lasts forever.
This is family, and this is my belonging. It changed the path of my life, and it's just amazing to see what grew out of it in terms of its impact, I think, on Zurich and the ecosystem, but also on a personal level, the friendships, the connections, the contacts I have. So it's definitely part of my family.
The community and all of that is that we can actually contribute to something meaningful that needs to be done. I mean, we are facing more and more crises. I think they become sort of even evident for the mainstream, for just kind of normal people understanding we have some big crisis to solve, and hopefully we can provide a contribution.
I think the Impact Hub has a very unique situation inside of the Zurich, Switzerland, and also overall. It's like this independent, non-political player. The hub can transform itself whenever it wants, and I think that's a luxurious situation to move about and adapt, or to react on stuff in a very quick way.
Call the guys here, more or less my family, and it was a really nice journey.
Walking through the spaces and talking to the people, it always feels like home here. And I think every space I was always somehow involved in building it. So that makes me very connected to the spaces we have as well.
Yeah, I'm crazy committed to that. That's maybe my personal, when I'm doing something, then I'm fully in. So that's personal, family, and working life. It's everything connected somehow.
It's great.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Good, nice. Great, well, welcome to this 10th anniversary of Impact Hub. Welcome to everyone joining from afar, and of course to everyone here in Zurich. My name is Tanja König, and I'm very pleased to be guiding you throughout this program. I'd also like to give a special welcome to Carmen Späh, our government councillor of the Canton of Zurich, as well as Corine Mauch, mayor of the city of Zurich, as well as city councillor Rafael Golta, the national, cantonal and city parliament members, and of course the international Impact Hub community. It's so good that you're all here with us. Yeah, so tonight we'd like to take a look at the past 10 years, what have we achieved, as well as take a look ahead, where will the next 10 years take us. I'd also like to mention that this event is being live streamed on YouTube on the Impact Hub Zurich channel. So if you want to share that link with anyone of your community, you can still do so they can also join us live. So we have an exciting program put together with keynote, speeches and pitches, both here on site as well as virtually. So it's a truly hybrid event that we're having here tonight. And now I'd actually like to leave the stage already to Carmen Späh for some opening remarks.
Dear Mayor of the City of Zurich, dear Corine, dear honorable guests, I know that a lot of and many honorable guests are here now, and I'm very proud of that. That's what I want to say. But first, I hope you had a very productive days in the beautiful alpine setting of the Fiderisser Heubergen. I hope this is okay, this is true. I'm delighted to see that you have made it to Zurich from calm rural Switzerland with cows, lush fields and splendid mountains to the pulsating city of Zurich. This is the first time Switzerland has hosted a global Impact Hub catering retreat. It's the first time. It's the first time. Yes, and today Zurich is host to the closing celebration here at the Kraftwerk. This event also marks the 10th anniversary of the Impact Hub in Switzerland. How exciting and how an honor for me and for all of us. I'm proud that Zurich has such a large and globally connected community for social entrepreneurship and sustainable innovation. I'd even go ecosystem. This ecosystem started in Zurich and spread from there to other Swiss locations. In many cases, it was former Zurich team members who set up new Impact Hub locations in other Swiss regions. And looking for the future, I believe we must focus more and more on new resource-saving, socially viable, integrative path, whether it concerns nutrition, mobility, consumption, or the way we work. To that end, I firmly believe, ladies and gentlemen, that the Impact Hub will continue to produce exciting companies and organizations, as well as provide valuable impetus for the overall economy. And the conditions for this are ideal here in the Canton of Zurich and in the city of Zurich. We have superb educational institutions, including the University of Zurich, the famous Federal Institute of Technology, ETH, and our Universities of Applied Sciences, with many startups and spin-off emerging from these institutions. And as a resident of the lovely Zurich by choice, let me say the following. Zurich is simply the most beautiful city and the most attractive canton. And dear Mayor, also the most attractive canton, of course, in Switzerland. With a wealth of highlights on offer, such as the lake, the river limit, a picturesque old town, a vibrant city life, many excellent restaurants, and a wide area of cultural attractions. I'm sure our Mayor of Zurich will agree with me. But enough said about our lovely city and our lovely Canton of Zurich. Happy birthday, dear Impact Hub.
Thank you very much, Carmen Walker-Späh. It seems that the audience seems to agree, and they got to also experience Zurich this week. And now I'd like to hand over to Corine Mauch, the mayor of the city of Zurich.
Dear Government Councillor Carmen Walker-Späh, liebe Carmen, dear founders and members of the Impact Hub, dear International Impact Hub guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Impact Hub is celebrating, we've heard it, its 10th anniversary. And the organization and the city of Zurich and the canton of Zurich, as we have heard, are proud of what has been built up and achieved in only a decade. Looking back, what are the main achievements of the Impact Hub from the perspective of the city of Zurich? Why has the Impact Hub evolved in such a short period to a well-known and influential institution on a local, national, and also international level. Let me structure my thoughts on the achievements according to the letters of the word impact. I-M-P-A-C-T. I. Initiative and innovation. 10 years ago, the first co-working space of the Impact Hub Zürich opened in the location Viaduct. Christoph and Giorgio rented 500 square meters and started their co-working space. For them, co-working was not only a desk-sharing concept, it was much more. It was and is about bringing creative, open-minded people together. The manifesto of the Impact Hub summarizes it. We are the community of creators. We create, we connect, and we care. M, make it work. In the last 10 years, we have seen countless events and programs that were initiated by the Impact Hub. The people of the Hub worked hard, that's for sure. They established the biggest hub in the world with over 900 members, innovators, and startups. And they showed that sustainability and growth can and must go hand in hand. P, I could make you guess. Powerful, or together we are powerful. The community of the Impact Hub is still growing, on the local level as well as on the international level. Instead of leaning back, the Hub is already planning its next extension. With its move to the Limmathaus, a building with architectural significance in the Bauhaus style, the next generation of co-creators can expect more than the double square meters of space. They can expect a completely new concept of co-working, where individual entrepreneurs come together with local and international institutions and companies from science, industry, and production. A, achievements. The many success stories emerging from the Impact Hub community speak for themselves. It would go beyond my speaking time to mention them all. The Impact Hub stands for a buzzing network and a growing number of interesting startups and initiatives. C, we collaborate. Drawing on the knowledge of others is nowadays crucial to getting work done. We need to adapt constantly to these ever-changing needs. As a city mayor, I also foster collaboration in various ways. City leaders should choose the best approach and adapt it in a collaborative dialogue to the local challenges and circumstances. We cooperated successfully with the Impact Hub in various initiatives, such as the Kickstart Innovation Platform that brings together fresh ideas, young entrepreneurs, universities, and established companies, and financing sources, very important, the last one. Or the Climaton events, which seek to address climate challenges with a collaborative approach for a better Zurich and a better world. And some of the Make Zurich Initiative Hack Days were hosted by the Impact Hub, which guaranteed an inspiring atmosphere for bringing together the local maker community and the city administration with the aim of jointly exploring new solutions. T for talent and technology. The right combination of talent and culture with the help of technology will become more and more important in the digital economy. At the same time, we should continue a deeper and broader discussion of the economic and social impacts of this new reality. The Impact Hub Zurich, with its large number of events, takes up this challenge and gives people in Zurich room for reflection. What do I wish for the Impact Hub in the next 10 years? My wishes are structured according to the letters of the word hub, H-U-B. H, stay healthy. Particularly true in these special times, but on a broader level, as the Latin expression puts it, a healthy mind in a healthy body. Mens sana in corpore sano. You, stay unique. As a community of independent co-creators in Zurich, searching for solutions that make our world better and more sustainable. And B, stay in balance. In an increasingly complex world, balance is not something you just find, it is something you create. I wish the Impact Hub, its founders and members, that you will keep the balance between continuing on the successful path while sticking to your original values and finding enough time to spend with your friends and your families. I wish you all a very happy anniversary. Thank you very much, Impact Hub Zurich.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mauch. Thank you. So, we're streaming or having this event here at Kraftwerk, which is also home to one of the Impact Hubs of Zurich. And it is also, the building belongs to EWZ, which is Zurich's electric utility. And I'd like to find out more. Therefore, I'd like to ask Benedikt Loepfe on stage. He's the director of EWZ. Hi, Benedikt.
Hi, Tanja. Thank you.
So, can you tell us a little bit more? Where are we?
As you said, we are here in the center of Zurich in the Kraftwerk Zürich, formerly a transformer station. But first of all, I want to congratulate the Impact Hub, and we are really proud to have you here and having this real good partnership together in this location.
So you mentioned a little bit that this building is quite historical. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, this building is the second utility in Zurich. The first was Latin, the second one was here, and it was built in 1898 to electrify the tramways. So that was the first application out of here. In about 1914, the lighting of Zurich came out of here. And the building, as we see it here, it was in 1930 to 1934 built and served about 60 years at one of our 14 power hubs in Zurich, each with about 100 megawatt installed power. So the ones that are familiar with electricity know that is quite an impressive number.
Does anyone know? Okay, we believe you. Then the Kraftwerk space, tell us a little bit more about that. How was that created?
Actually, we used this location since the 2000 as an event locations. We have also the museum, Haus Konstruktiv, within here. And in 2017, Engagement Migros, ourselves, Digital Switzerland, and Impact Hub, we had the idea to create here a new location where you can gather, you have events, you have the meeting rooms, you have a restaurant, and we have with Impact Hub the operator of this location. So in 2017, this was created out of the Kraftwerk or the substation.
Yeah, we're very glad that it exists. So what significance does Kraftwerk have for EWZ?
You all know the energy sector is in a fundamental change. So we are going out of the fossil fuel technologies into the fully renewable technologies. EWZ is already fully renewable, but others not. So we help them. But this is the technological change, but also the market is changing. With the solar power, we do not only have producers and customers, we have so-called prosumers, so they combine both. So the market is completely changing. And we as an EWZ thought this is a challenge we are not going to foster ourselves. So we wanted to have talents here to interact, new ideas, seeing also other industries, how they do it, so to learn and to be faster in the challenges we have as an electricity company.
Great. Whoa. Well.
Thank you.
Perfect. And on that note, Benedikt, Loepfe, thank you very much for the great collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and with this, we're ready for some highlights.
Impact Hub is hugely important for us because we're in the midst of a huge economic disruption as we move the global economy towards being net zero and nature positive. And in that kind of large-scale disruption, it's always the startups that play a particularly important role. We need to engage with startups in order to facilitate that transition.
It was an island that really helped me to meet the new community and people and many friends that I have today. And on a professional level, it gave me amazing opportunity to work with startups and organizations in Switzerland, but also around the world.
I believe very strongly in surrounding yourself with like-minded people who can inspire you and create, help you come up with new great ideas and support each other. And I couldn't think of any other better place than the Impact Hub.
Der Impact Hub ist wichtig für mich, weil es ist ein Ort in Zürich wie kein anderer, würde ich behaupten. Es ist sehr ein weltoffener und diverser Ort, den man so in Zürich nicht an vielen Orten findet.
Impact Hub is a very close partner, particularly for the One Planet Lab. We share everything from knowledge to ideas to creative sprints, but really also manpower. So I would say a very, very essential partner.
Well, now we need to hear from the current Impact Hub Zurich management team. Therefore, I'd like to ask Laura Olgiati, Lucia Schuller, Jorgo Conteleon and Christoph Birkholz on stage.
I guess we are both tired and also a bit nervous. So bear with us. Treat us nice as an audience, please. Jorgo, we heard on the first video that ended basically with "I'm crazy committed. When I'm all in, I'm all in." Why did you start that?
So actually, I'm a techie. But my real passion is on building environments and spaces where people love to be and create things. So that's where it's driving me, and that's what we are all about in Zurich, actually. And what about you, Christoph?
So to be fully honest, I think I followed Michel and Niels. Where are they? Where are Michel and Niels? And Michel. And then Hagen also joined. He's also there. So I followed. I followed really the other sort of, and probably couldn't have had any idea that we started, but But yeah, it was the excitement of the co-founding team initially that really brought me in there.
But I think, guys, it's not only about you. And it's not only about female power. No, it's also about the past 10 years, I agree, but we want to look forward as well. So we're celebrating the past and the future.
And as you heard, the past and the future has not only been created by us, but it's closely interlinked with our community of amazing founders and change makers. Christoph, will you tell us a little bit more about it?
There we go. So that's a slide representing just a very small glimpse of logos of community members out of the Impact Hub, and really to explain Impact Hub, I think, and to explain the impact that was created, it's impossible to do it without explaining the member stories, sort of, because it's really the exciting stories of them. And yesterday evening we were at Zunfthaus zur Zimmerleuten and had Zürich Geschnetzeltes made with Planted. Planted participated in 2017 in the Kickstart program, and through that met Migros and Coop, and actually now, as we know, Planted has become top startup, selected #1 in Switzerland from the top 100. Beat is here from their platform, and it's really great to see the startups connecting sustainability and also commercial success. Hopefully, I think they're on a good future there. And another example that we wanted to pick out there, actually in the containers today, also is Capacity. So Capacity is a non-profit. It's providing entrepreneurial classes for refugees and migrants. So it's really using entrepreneurship as a means to make a life and make a business. And Valentina is here in the containers later. You've seen Michael on the video, Michael Bodecker, Labstar. So Labstar is creating basically digital laboratories so that students from all over the world can access top-notch laboratory infrastructure. And Michael has been basically sitting out of Viaduct already as a CEO of a globally growing company with hundreds of millions in funding. And so and also that is this Impact Hub Zürich community. And last but certainly not least, Crowd Container. Crowd Container brings sustainable products, food products directly from the farmers to consumers in Switzerland, and basically that increasing the revenue of the farmers and cutting a lot of CO2 in that way. And Crowd Container is digitalizing their business. So that gives sort of a perspective from for-profit to non-profit, from large or fast-growing to kind of more organic growth model. And I think that gives a bit of a glimpse of the diversity that we've had experienced in Impact Hub Zürich and also worldwide. But these are just 4 examples. How many are there?
There are a lot. For those of you who are more into numbers, Impact Hub grew to 1,000 members just before COVID hit. They created in the past 10 years 1,500 new ventures and 5,000 net jobs. How amazing is that? 5,000 jobs in 10 years. But our community is not just our members, right, Laura?
Yeah, there is a big team behind, and there is more than a team actually, because we have so many other companies and movements connected to Impact Hub. There are the spin-offs, Diversify, Reverse, Futurepreneurship, so many. We have programs and communities that grow out of those programs. Circular economy transition is one example. And then we have the brother and sister companies, Grafik 2, who did all those amazing posters and everything else that you see around. Ponter is also a very close colleague walking by. So it's a family. We're a family, and it's not only Impact Hub, it's much more than that. Yeah.
Yes, Impact Hub wouldn't be Impact Hub Zürich without our spaces. So you know our actual spaces, the Collab, then the Kraftwerk and the Viaduct, but do you remember our old spaces? So there was back in time the garage, the workshop garage in Geroldstraße, and then Collab #1 in Wiedikon at the Zentralstraße, and then last but not least the underground space, the Finissage. That was an interim space where we were moving and kicked out from the one location to the other. So, and now there is now the Autonome Schule inside, and it's next to the active Collab.
Yeah, so we lost some spaces on the way. And there were some other failures actually over the last 10 years. So one of the principles is failing forward. So there are many failures. We chose 3 that we consider major. One is resilience. So we had, I would say, an organizational collective burnout in 2018 on many different levels. It was a big struggle. Yeah, we came out of it. We probably came out of it stronger, and we learned a lot. But that's definitely one of the failures.
So Corine was actually spot on with health and balance.
Exactly.
The H and the B.
Exactly.
Very spot on. That was 2018. Ambition, I mean, those who know us a little bit closer, or most of you in the room, I mean, we always set quite high ambitions of what we want to do, and not always does it work, right? I mean, we also had, for all the initiatives that we celebrate here, there were also initiatives that we tried and that didn't work out. We tried Viaduct Ventures, set up an impact investing kind of fund and vehicle, and that didn't really take off as we had thought. So I think on the back of all these wonderful projects and excitement, I think it's also important to acknowledge that not always will always go. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one. So we're called Impact Hub. We do have a global survey, and we measure impact on that global level, let's say, but we don't have specific measurement. How can I say this? Tools in Zurich to actually measure and objectivize our impact. So yeah, that's something to take on for the next 10 years.
So we say it with a smile, but you can imagine that behind the scenes, all these things keep us quite busy. And one reason why we are still able to do what we are doing, despite the sort of hardships and some of the failures we've done, is because of you. It's because of the support of so many, right? I mean, Impact Hub has really, I think, benefited from the support from hundreds, if not thousands of people who not only came there to co-working, but to all contributed a little bit here, a little bit there. So it's impossible to single anyone out, right? I mean, even any start to try to identify people is always hard. We still did it. We still said, look, we want to say a particular thank you to a group of 6 people, and we had to come up with something to do it properly. So we decided there's now the Impact Hub Zurich Guardians, and the Guardians are people that have guarded us over the last 10 years and hopefully will also guard us in the future. And the way we're going to do this now, I will read a short laudatio for the 6 first Impact Hub Zurich Guardians that receive a lifelong membership to work for the rest of their lives, hopefully come and go, and come, of course, to Impact Hub. 3 of them are in the room, 3 of them are on vacation. So I will read the laudatio for all of them. We will ask the 3 that are here on stage, and then we give a big round of applause together for the 6 Impact Hub Guardians. So. The first Impact Hub Guardians go to Evelyn Braun, former Managing Director of the Avina Foundation, Business Help Desk Coach and Supporter, for believing in us at the beginning, and since then again and again with Avina, with Arcas, and with others. Michelle and we were there, I believe, in 2009 at Evelyn's office, and she said, I don't know what you're doing exactly, but I think you will pull it off. Stefan Schöbi, he's the Managing Director of the Migros Pionier Fonds, and for helping to create the CoLab, to supported us in this post-merger, in this time when the CoLab and Impact Hub came together, development, massively supported the Kraftwerk development here, the Kickstart Accelerator, and many more initiatives in the network. Monique Baer is a philanthropist for supporting the Female Founder Initiative, the world's first gender bias measurement in the startup ecosystem, which is coming soon, and a big commitment to the future of Impact Hub Zurich. Can you help me with that? Roger Wüthrich, he's Executive Board Member, Chief Digital Officer of Swisscom, for giving growth and strategic advice and financial support over all the years. His extraordinary commitment to the startup ecosystem, to Impact Hub Zurich and Impact Hub Bern, and especially to Kickstart Innovation. Thomas Wellacott, the CEO of WWF Switzerland, for the first partnership with Impact Hub ever. He wanted to create the Impact Hub Zurich before we as a founding team wanted to do it. He just found out students in St. Gallen also want to do it, and he thought that's quite convenient. The Impact Hub Fellowship, and on the global board of the Impact Hub Network. And then last but certainly not least, we've thanked her yesterday, we want to thank her again today, Gabriela Gandel, the Executive Director of Impact Hub Company of the Global Network, for steering the global network through several crises, growing from 20 to 100 Impact Hubs, and always having a trusted relationship in challenging time. In the process, we've become more than colleagues, but really friends. So I'd ask the three that are here, should be Thomas, Stefan, and Gabica, please come on stage with a round of applause to receive your certificate, lifelong membership. I promised you just have to be here, no speech, no preparation needed. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you to the three that are not here in absence. And yeah, you are lifelong members in Impact Hub in Zurich now, Gabica, just so you know. So, last 10 years, hopefully some support for us for the next 10 years with lifelong members. What's coming in the future?
Yeah, we are already working on many interesting initiatives. So, we are working on a community app, on a digital community app, where the focus is on the digital connections. So, we were doing a lot in the past with physical, but we were lacking a bit in the digital space, so we are fully working on that and want to bring the ecosystem with the community together.
Yes, Christoph mentioned it already. We are very determined to reduce the gender bias in the startup ecosystem. That's why we're currently developing a scientific gender bias measurement test together with Harvard. The test will will create personal awareness about your bias towards female founders, and it will be launched next year, so watch out, more to come.
Yeah, and that's also a very big highlight. We found a new home for Impact Hub collab location, basically. We are very happy to take over Limmat House. It's an iconic 10,000 square meter building. Corine Mauch already mentioned it. In the city of Zurich, in the center of the city of Zurich, and we'll have plenty of space to do crazy things there. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Really beautiful to understand the community from the membership perspective, but also from what we can do for newcomers who are interested in working with the startups, with creating their own startups, and how to develop that professional and personal path into a new context like Zurich in this case.
It's just one thing, very simple. It's the people, the network. And it starts even with how the company got started, is me coming into Impact Hub Zurich right here where we are right now, and I met my co-founder Pratik here.
A huge community of freelancers, of digital experts, of startuppers. It's unique, and we have a strong relationship between Digital Switzerland and Impact Hub since the beginning of Digital Switzerland, mostly 5 years ago. I think we have a win-win situation.
Keep bringing people together with big ideas who want to change the world, because they do. Everyone is doing their thing. Everyone is, trying to make an impact, and it shows. And so I really do hope that Impact Hub continues to do that.
My wish for Impact Hub in the next 10 years is that they really adapt to
the future of work and also be one step ahead.
Wow, exciting times ahead for Impact Hub. Thank you so much for your work to the whole management team of Impact Hub Zurich. Yes, a round of applause. Well, are you ready now for the very first keynote? Yes. And it is by Paul Polman. He works to accelerate action by business to tackle climate change and inequality. Paul has been described by the Financial Times a standout CEO of the past decade for his time as CEO at Unilever between 2009 to 2019. He was a member of the UN Secretary General's high-level panel, which developed the Sustainable Development Goals, which he still continues to champion. And we're very pleased to have him as our keynote speaker, just virtually, but we're still looking forward to hearing how we can rebuild the world after the crisis. So Paul, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you, Tanya, for the kind introduction. I'm honored to speak to you all here today once more. I've had the pleasure to address many of you at several occasions before. I wish I could be with you in Switzerland right now, but I'm launching as we speak my new book, Net Positive: How Courageous Companies Thrive by Giving More Than They Take. I hope that you certainly will enjoy this week that you're having at the Global Hub gathering in Switzerland. And congratulations, by the way, to Impact Hub Zürich for their 10th anniversary. Well done. It's great to hear you're celebrating your achievements, but it's equally important to look ahead to the next decade and think about what we can do together. This is a decade of action, and we need the best of all of us. I've always admired the work that you're doing with the Impact Hub and the enormous influence that you can have. A global network of 24,000 entrepreneurs and innovators in more than 60 countries of this world. And you are not just innovative and passionate individuals. You're also purpose-driven ones who are working to create a more just, more sustainable, a more equitable world for all. I've always believed that business should serve people and planet foremost, and that the Sustainable Development Goals can only be achieved if the business community at large gets behind it to drive the innovations at scale. So this is where you come in. It probably is the biggest business opportunity that we have in front of us. And not surprisingly, we're seeing that more and more are embracing these Sustainable Development Goals. Not seeing them anymore as a cost or a risk prevention, but that is an enormous opportunity to embrace. COVID has clearly shown that we can't have healthy people on an unhealthy planet. It has also shown the complexity of our global system, the relationships between biodiversity, human health, inequality, the racial dimensions, climate change, the economy. It is not easy. But it has also shown that if we don't attack these issues, we're going to incur costs that are significantly higher than what we will have to invest to prevent these issues in the first place. COVID has cost us about $16 trillion in spending just to save lives and livelihoods alone. The IMF estimates that for this decade, our global GDP has taken a hit of $26 trillion, far more than what it would cost us to take the preventive measures that are increasingly then becoming these attractive business opportunities that we talked about. So I'm particularly excited to speak to this enormous group of entrepreneurs because you are the leaders of today and the leaders of tomorrow that the world cannot wait for. Unfortunately, the truth is that the challenges we're facing are bigger than we thought. We've just been in denial too long. We have to do much more in less time. So everybody has to step up a notch and then a little bit more, especially the leaders in business. Humans by nature seem to overestimate the time that we have, and regretfully, that's not a good thing. But they also underestimate the technology curves. And what we've seen here is an enormous speed that which the costs have come down, technologies have developed that fortunately give us enough tools to apply to these challenges that we talked about. And perhaps the two biggest challenges I like to mention is climate change and inequality. And frankly, they're closely related. The IPCC report shows now definitely that this is a human-related thing and that we're driving with our behavior global temperatures well outside of the planetary boundaries that we can afford. The good thing also is that the scientists tell us that we can still take the actions to hopefully stay below the 1.5 degrees and not to the 2.7 degree trajectory that we're currently under. The impacts of climate change are already felt now with 1.2 degrees. And in many cases, regretfully, we're starting to get closer and closer to a negative tipping point. From heat waves that we see in the US, Europe, Siberia, to the floods or the droughts or the hurricanes that we see in other parts of the world, our climate is definitely changing. And public anxiety about climate change has never been higher. What we do between now and 2030 is key. World Overshoot Day this year was July 29th, which is the day that we use up more resources than the world can replenish, which means that every day after that, we are de facto stealing from our future generations. I think we've discovered that we can't keep pushing this infinite growth on a finite planet. And frankly, anything you can do infinitely is by definition unsustainable. We're all leaving too many behind as well, and inequality is growing. And I've said many times that in any system where too many people feel they're not participating or they're left behind, these systems will ultimately rebel against itself. 4.3 billion people still living on less than $5 a day, 1.6 billion vulnerable workers, 800 million people still going to bed hungry, not even knowing if they wake up the next day. And yes, COVID regretfully has pushed us back 15, 20 years on the Sustainable Development Goals. Just on poverty, absolute poverty, 150 million people fallen back to below what we would call acceptable levels. The gap is now bigger. We have to step up. And the wonderful plans that we have to implement these Sustainable Development Goals only cost us an incremental $3 to $5 trillion a year. You would argue with me that that is significantly less than these enormous costs I talked about. So what is the answer? We need to create a net positive movement. We need to create net positive companies. Companies that are celebrated not by profiting, not for profiting by creating the world's problems, but actually profiting from fixing the world's problems. I know that is ambitious, but I also believe that it is possible. Momentum is building right now within the private sector, and a growing number of CEOs, I believe, are waking up to the need to act on things like climate change or widening inequality. And they see the huge opportunities in doing so. They're stepping up in very previously unimaginable ways to do this. We saw this during Climate Week in New York, and we can expect more of these examples to come at the COP26 in Glasgow in a few weeks' time. True innovation will be needed, both in business models as also in, if you want to, innovations in its purest sense. But the companies that actually do that will become these trusted players. The future of capitalism, the future of humanity, and the future of the planet depends on it. I don't think it has ever been a better time than now, actually, to be an entrepreneur. The more I think about it, we are seeing that everything is actually being put to question. We see the scale of change of the Industrial Revolution and the speed of change of the technological revolution. And that offers for anybody that cares an enormous opportunity. It does require the leaders, though, to be purpose-driven. It does require to have an organization that has purpose at its core in my opinion. If passion is about losing yourself, then if passion is about finding yourself, then purpose actually is about losing yourself. People, leaders, and companies that put themselves to the service of society, knowing that by doing so, they're better off themselves as well. To get there, it starts undoubtedly by listening, then by assuming responsibility of the total impact. To innovate your business, as we said. Then it want to be sure that as you do these things, we ask ourselves the questions, if your company is 100% human in all you do, if your products and services benefit the people and planet and cause no harm, if you're doing all you can to support your local communities and your local people that are there, if you work together in these broader partnerships, sometimes even with competitors, to put more of the areas pre-competitive. After all, we shouldn't compete for the future of humanity. And yet, are you courageous enough as a net positive company to speak out or call out the things that are wrong? When politicians do things, when competitors do things, when laws are being passed that don't pass the mustard. These are the courageous leaders driving the courageous companies. These are the purpose-driven leaders that we need. In fact, the Dalai Lama said it well when he said that if you seek enlightenment for yourself, simply to enhance yourself and your position, you miss the purpose. But if you seek enlightenment for yourself to enable you to serve others, you are with purpose. Thanks for all you're doing. Have fun, but above all, live a life of purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. Well, the message is clear. We need to step up. And our next three speakers, just like Paul, are incredible change makers when it comes to sustainability. And they're all also connected with Impact Hubs, which is also very nice that they are joining us today. So let's start with climate activist Marie-Claire Graf. She is a YOUNGO focal point at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate, and she is also the co-founder of the Sustainability Week for Business. So Marie-Claire, please welcome on stage. Hi. So can you share with us what your expectations are for Impact Hub in the near future?
Thank you so much, Impact Hub members globally, and happy birthday from my side as well to the Impact Hub here in Zurich. So I would like to challenge some things, but first, thank you, Paul, if you're still here, for your thoughts. So let me challenge some words we are using. So when I say innovation, what comes to your mind? What is the first thing coming to your mind? So who is thinking about something digital, about something technology? Maybe quickly raise your hand. Okay, I see some hands are going up, some not. Okay, good. So what comes to your mind when you think about businesses? I'm not going to ask what you're thinking about, but maybe about working hours, that's Friday afternoon, and you finally have weekends. Maybe about offices, which are mostly very far from nature and not really connected to our natural world. Maybe you think about KPI and growth. So what are you thinking of opportunities? Maybe the climate action and the crisis is seeing this as an opportunity, as Paul just mentioned. And my last word, what comes to your mind if you think about radicality? Maybe there was an Extinction Rebellion action out there just before. Maybe you think about this when you saw it. Or the climate strikers being loud and bold and screaming on the streets. Well, radicality actually means that there needs to be a change fundamentally in the nature of how we are doing it. It needs to be far-reaching and it needs to be thorough. And I think this is exactly what Paul mentioned, right? Still, we are using a lot of words, and I think for many people, when we talk about innovation, it's heavily connected to a digital tool, to some technologies. And I would like to challenge these words and the thinking behind, because I do believe that the solutions lie within, for example, the social innovations. The social innovation, how we are changing, how we are interacting, how we are working. Maybe that we are not working 40 hours a week and then the weekend, and we are like working ourselves until we really can't do it anymore. Maybe the solutions lie within radically rethinking these words and redefining these words. And what I wish to the hub here, but also globally, that we have the courage to rethink how we are seeing these words and how we are setting up, but also supporting other businesses to go into this year of the crisis. And I personally do not believe that the climate crisis, neither the biodiversity crisis, nor any of the inequalities we are facing, actually is an opportunity. Because we have lost already too many lives. We have already putting too many species on the brinks of collapse on our entire planet. So yes, of course, we have to see the positivity of things. But I do not believe that we are going to change the fundamentals if we just create new fancy words about the same problems. We have to really change a lot of business models that they're going to work, and this is going to be very uncomfortable for many of us. And I think that's what also brings us all together. That's why we are here, that's why we are part of this movement, but it's going to be painful, and it's going to be very uncomfortable, and I think this is what we have to face as individuals. We had it before, it's about me, it's about us, it's about the whole community. I think we have to support each other throughout this way of being uncomfortable, getting out there where it actually is painful, and it's actually like where we are seeing as the radical people who are standing up and demanding this change, no matter if you're facing oppositions. In my private but also my personal life, this is literally what I'm doing. I'm challenging mostly politicians when it comes to how they interact and include young people when it comes to climate policies on a national but also international level. And it's not easy. We are receiving a lot of resistance every single day. And I hope that we can also bring this more into businesses, that we have more young people in the businesses who are in leadership position or being brought into positions where they can actually challenge the status quo, where they can challenge how the businesses are running and what they are doing and why they are doing it, redefining their purpose. Because still for too many businesses, the purpose is about the growth every 2-3 months, and they can't even get out of this dogma. And I think this is where the real change starts, with this social innovation, and that's why I think we have to really redefine what this means. The second one is about joining activist movement, or actually creating the activist movement in their own companies. And this can be about climate, it can be about biodiversity, it can be about gender diversity, or including young people, including future generations in the way we are thinking and operating. For example, you can put in the next meeting an empty chair and create a space for future generations in your meetings, and try to give this creature space, what would they think if they would actually be able to sit here? How would they challenge what we are just talking right now at these meetings? Then my third point, what I wish, that we're not talking about climate action, because I think it's 12:05 for too many of us. Not for us here, I think we're still fine. We're feeling it, we saw it in summer, we see it in winter, but it's not about life and death yet for us. But for too many people, it actually is. Rather, we should aim for climate justice, because I think this is what fundamentally also changes. As long as we have climate action, we can make the coal a little bit greener and the oil a little bit cleaner and greener. We have seen this all at the climate conference. You have like tons of events where you can make like green coal and clean oil and everything. But it's not going to change what needs to be changed. We heard it before from the CEO of EWET said, we need to radically shift and get out of this. So let's focus on climate justice and not on climate action, because for too many people, it's already too late. And also, we are an incredible crowd of people who have been doing it, who are struggling, getting uncomfortable every single day, but there are many more people out there who need to hear this, or need to get empowerment, because it's very, very easy. And literally, like in my work days, every single moment, like it's easier to give up to actually continue, because we are facing so much resistance when we're coming what young people want, how politics, how governments, how businesses need to change. And we have to support each other to actually continue this path. And I wish that the Impact Hub community has a lot of courage and empowers the partners and people working with and people inside the hub, encouraging themselves on a very personal level to continue this struggle every single day, because we are in a crisis, we are in multiple crises, and we have to support each other. The coming years, science is telling us that we have around 9 years left to radically change, to have an unprecedented transformation, and an unprecedented transformation is a radical change. And as long as we do not have enough trust in ourselves, actually we can make this radical transformation, there is very, very little hope that we can actually make it. And my very last point, what I wish that involve the young people and involve them proactively, because a lot of young people have been systemically excluded from decision making in the private sector, but also in the governmental decision makings. So young people are not encouraged to go to these rooms with the 10 hours of boring talks and don't understand all of the abbreviations. So invite the young people and make maybe some special arrangements, try to bring them in, create the spaces they need to engage. And as mentioned, I think it's no longer good enough to only include the children and young people of today. We also have to think about the future generations, because ultimately this is why we're doing all of what we're doing. This is the purpose why we're doing, because we want to sustain the life for the next generations. So they are not on the table, and I have been in many meetings where we talk about young people, but in very little meetings where we actually actively involve the future generations. And a very easy trick, it doesn't cost you anything, just a little bit of courage. Put an empty chair in your next meeting. You can even try to design something, give the person a name or whatever if you feel, and give this person space to express themselves. And if you want to go a step further, then you can also have a chair for nature. You can have a chair for the resources we are going to exploit, or we are still exploiting, we're hopefully not exploiting in the future. So try to give these creators the space they need and deserve. And I wish for the Impact Hub here in Zurich, but also on a global level, that we have more courage when it comes to these social innovations and involving young people proactively and creating movements and joining the existing movements and make them even stronger. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Marie-Claire Graf, powerful words. We all heard it. Thank you very much. So it's now up to us to actually put that in action. Then before I go on, there are a few still empty seats. So for the ones who are standing around, if you want, feel free to sit down in the middle. We don't mind if you go through. Just feel free. It's okay. Next we will hear from André Hoffmann. He's the Vice Chairman of Roche. He's a philanthropist and impact investor, also on what he expects from Impact Hub.
Good afternoon to all of you. Today is a particular celebration. Today is a birthday. Happy birthday, happy 10th birthday to Impact Hub in Zurich. I am really sorry not to be able to be celebrating with you for at least two reasons. One, because I consider this celebration to be important, but also because I like a good party and I would love to be there celebrating with you. However, I am here to address you on the theme of SDGs and what Impact Hubs can do about it. It's extremely difficult to do that following the very eloquent Paul Polman, but maybe I will start by giving this a more personal flavor. I started my activities in the NGO world by trying to protect nature. I think nature is the most important common goods we share, and it's very important that we continue to have a system that functions properly. I don't think humanity will survive very long in a dysfunctional nature. So we should stop to look at nature as being something beautiful. We should move at nature as something which is the life system support on Earth, and we need to be able to look after this properly. So for many years I worked with WWF in order to raise funds to be invested on a philanthropic basis in nature. And we've been doing that with WWF, or I've been doing that with my mother foundations for a considerable amount of years. And the result is not encouraging. We're not getting to what we want to achieve. We're not actually seeing an impact that is positive of humanity on the planet, all the contrary, and it's accelerating. So if the solution that we are proposing to invest in nature is not working out, what can we do about it? I think we need to sort of concentrate on the root causes of pressure of humanity on the planet. And the root causes are, I think, quite simple. We have looked over the years at a very simple way of measuring our pressure being, and that's always been based on short-term profit maximization. Over the last 50 years, this mantra of the business of business is business has destroyed the planet. Every time we see an opportunity, we measure it in short term, and we measure it in short-term financial results. Today, if you really want to make something positive, as Paul just asked us to do on our environment, we need to look at least 4 types of different approaches. We need to look at social systems, social capital. We need to look at human talents, the human capital. We need to look at nature, the natural capital. And these 3 together will allow us to measure what we do measure at the moment, which is the produced capital. However, if we really want to make a long-term, robust, produced capital measurement, we need to understand the dependencies that there are in between these different capitals. National capital, social capital, human capital work together in order to create a produced capital, and they are dependent one from another. So you see the first conclusion. If you want to diminish pressure on nature, we need to be dealing with the way we create value in a cohesive manner. So the only way to ensure that humanity can live in harmony with nature is to ensure that our demands on the nature system are not too big. This requires us to change the way we approach value creation, and it needs us to look at value creation in a regenerative manner, in a net positive manner. And this is where it is for me so important that we support things like Impact Hub. Impact Hub brings new leaders, you, our listeners today, to innovate in order to create value in a way that is rewarding not only for the partners and the shareholders of the business, but for humanity at large. Innovation is our way forward in that particular field. In the past, innovation was product innovation. We just needed to produce something as cheaply as possible and as selling it as expensively as possible. But today, with the new impact measurements we are going to develop over the years, we are in a position where we can say the consequence of me creating value out of the social, the human, and the natural capital is either positive or negative for the planet. And we need to plump for positive, obviously. So, I think that there are 2 major statements I would like you to retain when you go home tonight. One is that if you want to do something for humanity, because it is not a nature crisis, it's a humanity crisis. If you want to do something for humanity, you have to remember that it's not the way you spend money that matters, it's the way you make it. So your companies, the ones you are starting, are going to be regenerative because they're going to be careful at creating value to the benefits of all and not just at being profitable. And secondly, what you also have to remember, and I think that's probably the biggest one, is that the future will have to be sustainable or there will be no future. It's just such a simple statement, and yet so few of us are living their lives according to that principle. So let me not be too negative. This is a party. Well done, Impact Hub. Well done, Impact Hub worldwide. And congratulations on the 10th anniversary in Zurich. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, André. And now our next speaker is Renat Heuberger. I'd like to ask him on stage. He's the co-founder and CEO of South Pole Group, which is a Swiss carbon finance consultancy, and he's also the co-founder of My Climate. Renat, welcome. And the same question to you, what are you expecting from Impact Hub in the near future?
Thank you, and good evening. First of all, congratulations to the team of the Impact Hub, everyone involved. What an outstanding 10 years this have been. And to answer your question, I think we have to first understand what does the Impact Hub actually stand for. And I think it stands for Impact and Hub. Yeah. So let's unpack this a little bit. Impact. What does impact actually mean? When do you see something has impact? In my opinion, and I'm sharing this, so there's a few definitions, but there must be 3 things that are fulfilled if it's impact. First of all, it has to be intentional. You have to want it. The second, it has to be real. It has to have a real change. It has to have to do a real change in the economy somehow. And the third, it somehow has to be measurable. Now, I think, generally speaking, we are quite good, even globally, on the first one, but we have a problem on the two last ones. The intention, I think, is there. If I look around companies we work with or governments, you're hardly finding anybody, any CEO who says, no, I don't care about stability. That I don't believe. No, this is over. Everybody wants it, so the intention is here. Where it becomes a bit more problematic is when you ask about, is it real? Does it drive change? And I see this in my work, as some of you know, both at My Climate and now with South Pole, we have been pioneering this concept of carbon credits. And a carbon credit is nothing else but a proof of a result. You reduce 1 ton of CO2, for example, by planting these beautiful trees here, and you're certifying that, and 1 carbon credit equals 1 ton of CO2. It's the only, unfortunately, the only result-based finance instrument which ever made it to scale. And that's a big shame, because we could do that on many more topics. We could do such impact measurements on water, on biodiversity, on education, on other topics. Now, the problem is that if you go to your bank, everybody these days has an impact-optimized product for you. But in reality, the problem is if you are just buying a share of a listed company, whether this company is good or bad, you're not creating any impact at all. You're just buying somebody's share. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of impact washing in the system. Actually, we moved from greenwashing to impact washing. And that is a problem. And I'm very glad to know that, of course, the Impact Hub is not only intentional, but also very real. I mean, we have seen the examples of the startups here. That is what I call making a change. But keep in mind, not everywhere where you see impact written on the, from the outside is there impact inside. But now it gets even worse. There is new research from the University of Zurich around Falco Petzold and Florian Heb and the guys who have made a study, an interesting one. They put 2 different products in front of people. Again, everybody wants to have impact. One, let's say, reducing 100 tons of CO2. The other one, reducing 10,000 tons of CO2. Not much difference. As long as it's a good project, fair enough. So people want impact, yes, but they're not really caring how much impact is inside. And that's the next point I am hoping for the Impact Hub. Be measurable. Go through the pain of finding out, is this just a little bit of impact? Is this a big impact? And be honest and compare alternatives. Because we have heard it many times, we're running out of time. We don't have time for things which are just a little bit impactful if there's an alternative which is more impactful. So now, what is the hub? What are the hub? A hub is a place or a space where people or things connect, right? We are all connected. We are all on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and we have all thousands of friends and everything. But the problem is that with all this flood of information, we're getting confused. We don't know what is true and what is not true. So the beauty of the hub in the way of the Impact Hub is that it's not only an online community, it's a real community with real spaces where people meet and talk. And I'm so convinced that the future is not only digital, it is also analog. It is about connections and trust, real trust. So now, what do you get if you combine Impact and Hub? You're getting something really cool. You get intentional, real, measurable change in a connected world, in a diverse world, as you've seen on many presentations. And I would say this is nothing less but the blueprint we need for our entire economy in the next 10 years. No pressure. So believe me, I have been in climate science, climate action for the past 20 years. I've studied climate science at ETH Zurich and so on. And believe me, if there's one thing I learned, one thing. the scientific debate is over. Even in the 90s, it was very clear climate change is a problem. The technology is completely here. It's all here. The only last and remaining question is, do we really want that? Is it only our brain who wants it? Or is it our heart? Do we honestly want it? And that, I think, is so powerful about the Impact Hub, and that's actually my key challenge and key hope for the next 10 years. Talk to people's hearts, because we have it in our brain, we know it. But now the question is, can we convince the majority? Can we convince the majority of companies doing it so that the laggards are pulled across by governments who have no other option than to create the laws we finally need? And for this, I have one last challenge for you, because let's keep in mind, we here are a little bit the bubble of the bubble. Let's be honest. So can I ask all of you over the next year to find at least 3 people who have never been at the hub, who are not connected to the bubble, bring them to one of the spaces, and find out how they and their world could connect and become part of the hub. If all of us do that, and then the last thing you tell them, please bring 3 more people, we're on a good journey to check up this number we've seen on the screen. So with this, thank you very much for having me, and let's have a great party, and let's get to work shortly after the party. Thank you very much.
Impact Hub hat mich zuerst vor allem mal mit meiner Idee aus meiner Wohnung gebracht. Ich habe dort schon eine Zeit lang an der Idee von Crowd-Container gearbeitet, und der Impact Hub war für mich unglaublich wichtig, dass ich da mal rausgekommen bin und in eine Community gekommen bin, wo ich auch wirklich Sparring-Partner gefunden habe für meine Idee.
Becoming a mom, a working mom for the first time, I found myself, in a community, thriving for it to be the most natural things.
Persönlich wäre ich noch gerne mehr involviert in das, dass noch mehr Impact entsteht, also in der echten Welt draussen.
Ich wünsche am Hub kein Corona mehr und dass alle wirklich physische Connections können weiter.
Ja, ich wünsche dem Hub für die nächsten 10 Jahre einfach so viel Drive und Energie wie möglich, und dass wir als vielleicht auch Hub-Teammitglieder den Drive und die Energie auch weitergeben an unsere Community, und dass dann noch aus der Community dann ganz viele tolle Sachen entstehen können.
Dabei lernen, woher unser Essen eigentlich herkommt, und auch inspiriert werden, sich gesund zu ernähren, gesund für sich selber, aber auch gesund für unseren Planeten.
We're designing beautiful toilets and we want to make a better soil literally.
YOUNGO steht für Invest in Your Values. Wir betreiben eine digitale Plattform, bei der man Geld anlegen kann für die Zukunft. Und das Geld ist so angelegt, dass es eine finanzielle Rendite erwirtschaftet, aber auch einen Nachhaltigkeitsimpact hat. Und den kann ich sogar selbst steuern und erleben, direkt auf der Plattform bei YOUNGO.
Great. Okay. So now, after those inspiring speeches that we just heard, we also want to hear from the international community of Impact Hub what they are working on in the future. And so I ask you, are you ready for the pitches by the international community? Great. So I'd like to ask Cesar Ondario, the co-founder and CEO of Impact Hub Manila, come on stage. Will Senio, co-founder and CEO of Impact Hub Accra. Then Nele Capres, co-founder and CEO of Impact Hub Berlin. Q Ragsdale of Impact Hub Baltimore. and Claudia Valladares, co-founder and CEO of Impact of Caracas. So we want to hear about your future plans, and you all got 2 minutes time. I see we have an iPad here with a timer, a little challenge, and we will start clapping when 2 minutes are over. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cés Rondario, and I'm the founder of Impact Hub Manila. Many of you, those who know me, know that we started it 6 years ago, but I hope you know that everything started here in Zurich for us. Christoph would know. Over the 6 years that we've started in the Philippines, we've grown, and the next years ahead, the goal is to inspire a continuous movement across the country. So hopefully, Impact Hub Philippines is next. Hello to the board. And you know, right now, what the hope is, we're starting a movement of very engaged young people, entrepreneurs in the country, and it's very exciting to say that Impact Hub Manila has been driving a lot of policy changes in the local level, involving politics, involving government, and corporate support across the community. And I think for many of those who are here, who know me, I also lead the region for Asia Pacific, and the goal is for the Philippines to be a contributing asset to the region as we drive forward and making sure that everybody knows that Asia Pacific is not just the place where we're the biggest continent, but also where problems can get solved, where problems could be, you know, found a way to be redesigned so that we can offer it to the rest of the network. And that's all. Thank you.
Hi. I'm Will Senior, and where I come from, if we were celebrating 10 years, there will be less talk and a lot more party. So I'll try to keep it. I'll try to keep it very brief. 6 years ago, my co-founder Kelechi and John Paul, a bunch of misfits from all over the world, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Canadian, Americans, decided to found a platform that will give hope to a generation of young Africans who are inspired to create in the face of limitations. And we had made the decision to join the Impact Hub network, and we're very much concerned about what we might be losing by joining a global network. Today, I stand here to say that it was probably one of the best decisions of our adult life, to be able to connect to a global community of impact champions who are building and are highly experimental, great energy, and over the last 3 years, managed to convene the rest of the world into our country. It hosted 3 world leaders in Accra, far beyond anything we imagined. 10 years from now, what we hope to achieve is to truly become the social lab of the city of Accra and help change the urban lifestyle experience of most Africans. We want to be able to shape how people live, how people work, and be able to make our cities livable, and be that social lab, highly experimental space, bringing capital, resources, and great energy to create the next generation of African visions. For now, we think we are on to something. Being in this room, connecting to you, continues to inspire people like us to create, and we are hoping that we can bring the rest of the world to places like Accra to inspire new ideas and also shape a vision that is not necessarily Eurocentric or American, but a place where Africans can also have a place. Thank you.
Before looking into the future, let me look into the past. Many of you might have siblings. I'm very fortunate to have 2 older sisters. And without them, I wouldn't be here today, because they keep inspiring me, they keep trying out things that I don't have to do, and they support me, and we learn from each other. It was 10 years ago that I started my Impact Hub journey, and it was just about before the opening of Impact Hub in Zurich. And we had the lucky chance that Impact Hub Zurich became our sister hub and helped us grow, learn, and develop. It made us avoid many mistakes that you have made, me made many mistakes. I hope you have learned from us. And together, we have truly grown over the years. The good thing about siblings is that there's always a bit of healthy competition. But good way, in a good way, right? So looking into the future, I'm very happy to announce that at the beginning of next year, Impact Hub Berlin will open Europe's largest Impact Hub. In a truly circular house with amazing ecosystems. There's got to be a fab lab and many, many more amazing things, which of course we would have never done if there was an Impact Hub Zurich that always inspired us and showed us the way. And we can't wait to have you over at our place next year so that we can share all the learnings that we had so that you can truly build a circular and nice Limmat house in the next 10 years that we then come visit and learn from for the future. So thank you very much, Impact Hub Zurich, for all the work you've done for us, and happy birthday.
Y'all might be siblings, we're your cousins from across the pond. I joined Impact Hub Baltimore as a member in 2016, right after we opened our current space. Today, I stand before you as the Director of Acceleration, leading the business programming is something that we have not had on the team before. So what are we looking forward to doing in the next 10 years? It's helping to generate and spark something that we're passionate about, which is civic wealth creation. What is civic wealth creation? Great question. So it's when you bring together three important groups of people that we all have in this room right now, which are your local institutions, right? City of Zurich. Also your community members, people who are driven by that sense of belonging. And then your enterprises, those people who are driven by profitable exchange. What happens when the motivations and the resources of these three groups come together? Civic wealth, right? It's the coalescing of economic wealth, social wealth, and communal wealth. So what does this look like in action, Q? Thank you for asking. For us, it is in 2022, we are so excited that we're partnering with GoDaddy, which is a national internet service provider, to help support and lift up the thousands of micro businesses that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Baltimore City has one of the highest rates of micro businesses, 10 employees or less in the United States. So we are going to be launching a program to touch 500 of them and more through helping to increase their digital presence. And so this is our way of bringing together these three different stakeholder groups through neighborhood activations, through the city of Baltimore and our partners, and our local community of enterprises. And so we're really grateful to be here in community with our cousins across the pond, and super excited, and happy birthday, Zurich.
Hi, everyone. I co-founded the Impact Hub Caracas 7 years ago. I come from Venezuela, a country where resilience is not enough. We have been forced to be anti-fragile, and we have learned it in the hard way. I talk about anti-fragility because in the midst of chaos, vulnerability, ambiguity, complexity, and all that you can imagine, it's not enough to be flexible. It's not enough to not bend, to not break or bend. You need to be better than you used to be before. But ours could be also the story of any other impact hub in Latin America, or probably in Asia, or also in Africa, our cousins, our friends. And this day, today, after 10 years of Impact Hub Zurich existence, I want to remember what is to become impact or social entrepreneurs. We are here in this world to solve problems that probably governments or the market has been unable to solve until now, to create access and opportunities for the excluded, for the most vulnerable, and innovative solutions for people and the planet. So either our exit strategy is to become scale purpose businesses that create sustainable impact at large, the purposeful corporations of tomorrow. Or maybe the future of our ventures could be also to disappear by being transformed into a public policy that serves and solves problems for millions of people. I envision a future where SDGs are obsolete, where explaining what is to create impact or being sustainable is vintage, where don't need to add adjectives to entrepreneurial business because being impactful or sustainable or purposeful is for granted. We want to imagine the future of our impact hubs by being the dancing floor for corporates, governments, the academy, NGOs, foundations, development agencies, impact investors, philanthropists, entrepreneurs, innovators, and all the human beings that want to create a new way of sustainable dancing, a rhythm that doesn't exist yet, but that will make the world dance at another pace, in harmony with society and the planet. So let's dance.
Thank you. One. Is this mic on? Yeah. All right. And because we are family, yes. I think it's our duty.
Later.
Dance later. But happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Impact Hub Zürich. Happy birthday to you. Bravo.
Wow, thank you so much. We will open that dancing floor very soon, that party Will was talking about. Actually, but you have to bear with me a little bit because we have one more video.
We want you to grow as an entrepreneur and a change maker. Impact Hub Zürich is turning 10 years old this year, and we take this opportunity to look back and see what we've learned and what you can benefit from these learnings.
And we really believe that the best way for us to learn and integrate new information is really through storytelling. And that's why we decided to make a podcast of 10 episodes where we share stories from the last 10 years of Impact Hub.
And there we will touch upon how to build a co-founding team, how to fundraise and finance your venture in the beginning and on the way, even how to build a space, physical space construction, how to build community, merging a tech community with a social and sustainability community, how startups and corporates have worked together. So really a lot of different topics and elements that hopefully you can benefit from.
My name is Carina. I'm the co-founder of the Podcast Club here in Switzerland and the Podcast Tower. And I will be the host of this podcast. And I'm so excited to get started. And that's where you come in. You can support this podcast to make sure we can start the production.
And I'm Christoph, co-founder of Impact Hub Zürich. And together with our partners from Swisspreneurs and the Startup Ticker, we really hope to push this project out to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are almost finished, I promise. Katharina should be standing here. She's sick today. And if you're watching online on YouTube, Katharina, that should be your speech and your talk and your credit. So we are creating this podcast. The crowdfunding has launched right now. So that's on the main page of We Make It. Trying to fundraise for this project together with, as I said in the video, Swisspreneur and Startup Ticker to really reflect on what we've learned and hopefully that other entrepreneurs can benefit from all the failures and all the wrongdoings that we did along the way. Katharina is from the Podcast Tower here. It's actually within the space, so the pictures that you saw on the video is in Kraftwerk. And we hope that you can really support us. There's actually a very good message we just received this week, so the Gebert Rüff Foundation. Pascal, are you here? It's the Gebert Rüff Foundation financed is doing a matching grant, so every Swiss franc that you do on the crowdfunding will be matched by Gebert Rüff Foundation. And I heard that the Canton of Zurich is already interested to buy one of those crowdfunding tickets. Just no pressure. So that's really it. The URL is there. We hope to get it live as soon as possible, or get it produced and then live as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And you can stay here. Yeah, before I ask the whole Zurich management, Impact Zurich management team back on stage, I just have a few information, some logistics for you. When we finish, you can pick up your limited Social Fabric t-shirts in the container 9. And of course, I assume you're all hungry. We have some food trucks outside with some amazing foods. Then I think you mentioned the project exhibitions that you can go through in the containers with projects by Impact Hub Zurich members, which are Electric Field, Erica, Capacity, Conda, Digital Switzerland, Climate Frisk, and in Yova. And then we will free up the space here, so if you want to help with the chairs, I don't know if I should say that, or you just get a drink, and then at 9 the party starts. And now, yes, I would like to ask Gabica Gandel on stage and the Impact Zurich management team. And from my side, thank you very much.
That's not planned.
Hijacking. Yes. No, it's not planned. That's my famous identity. So, Impact Hub Zurich, on behalf of the Impact Hub Network, we have a little gift for your birthday. Let me put a card there. It symbolizes the inspiration, the amazing roots, and the amazing future that you have, but also everything you actually need to achieve all the ambitions you set, because inside you have a money plant, basically. So we wish you that. We thank you for everything you've done and everything you are, and we always have your back. Happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can't keep standard. It's 30 seconds, then we are done. 2 thank yous. 1 thank you from my side. I mean, as I mentioned, many partners. The Zurich Tourism supported us significantly this week for the global gathering. Incredible help from them. And the Stiftung Mercator Schweiz, and Albert is here from Stiftung Mercator Schweiz, from the Board of Trustees. They made it possible that we have the global gathering in Switzerland, really. So big thank you to those big special partners.
And the other huge thank you goes to the Impact Hub Zurich team. And I want to ask on stage first one person without whom this event would not have been possible, and that's Janina. Please come on stage. Where is she? Where is she? Janina.
She's working.
Come on, she's working. And since one person cannot do it alone, I ask the whole Impact Hub Zurich team that is in the room to come on stage as well.
And the family.
Yeah.
Is that all?
And we heard it before, Impact Hub Zurich is not only Impact Hub Zurich team, it's an Impact Hub family. So I ask all the spin-offs and program leads and everyone that is in the room on stage as well. Come. Yes, you too. And I think with this we're done. Apero and party is waiting for you. So enjoy.